Good morning, everybody. My name is Karla, and you have reached my FlossTube channel, KarlaBeingCrafty, where I talk about mostly cross stitch, but also other crafts that I enjoy and a little bit of life thrown in. So today is FlossTube number 246. It is Sunday, June 16th. Welcome to all of you. If this is your first time finding my channel, I want to say welcome. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you like what you see. Want to hit like, subscribe, all the good stuff. And if this is your not your first time stopping by, if you are a regular viewer, thank you so much for coming back and sharing this time with me. Happy Father's Day to all of the daddies out there. Happy Father's Day specifically to my brother. He's basically the father that is in my life. So I hope Erin, you're having a great day. I will text you later. I'm sure they're having a fun time. Hopefully, Stacy had a wisdom tooth out on Friday, so she sent me a picture. She wasn't looking so great on Friday, but hopefully she's feeling good enough today to be able to celebrate a little bit with Erin and do some fun Father's Day stuff. I have talked a lot on my channel about my mom. I haven't really talked a lot about my dad, so I thought that this was a good day to tell you guys a little bit about him and when I lost him and everything. So my dad passed away when I was 10. He was, from all my memories of him, he was a fantastic dad, and he was a teacher, very intellectual. He was like 10 years older than my mom. And he died very unexpectedly. He was only 42 when he passed. Basically, what happened was that he had polio when he was a child. He and his mother both had polio in the late 30s, early 40s. And they both actually ended up with like a smaller foot and leg. My grandmother actually had to wear a little strap across one of her shoes. She was a tiny little woman anyway. My dad was tall. He was like 6'4". I guess one of his feet was actually half a size smaller. He had to get his shoes special made, but you would never know that he had any kind of disability, let's say, except for when he got really tired, he would limp a little bit. He played tennis and he rode bikes and, he did all that kind of stuff. I guess when he was in, shorts and his tennis shorts and stuff, you could kind of see that one of his calves was smaller than the other calf. He served in Korea in the Korean War, but because of his physical disability, he was I don't know what they call it, like special, like modified service or whatever, where you don't have to go through the same boot camp and then they put you in more of an intellectual role. So he was actually stationed in Japan during the Korean War. Come here. Oh, baggy. He was stationed in Japan during the Korean War, working on computers, which, at that time were the size of a room. So he spent his time like feeding the cards into the computers. That's what he did. So he wasn't in combat, but he did serve. He and my mom, he met my mom when he was about 30 and they got married. They moved to Modesto, where he was a high school history teacher and, settled down to raise their family. So what happened is he woke up one morning when I was 10 with a headache, and, I went to school. He stayed home. He had a bad headache, and I guess by the time I got home that afternoon, he was in the hospital. It turned out it was meningitis. But there's two kinds of meningitis. There's bacterial and viral, and I don't know which is like the really deadly one, and one is just kind of normal. He had the normal one that's not supposed to be that much of a problem. So they treated the meningitis, and he ended up coming home like about a week later and was back in the hospital that night. And what had happened because he had the polio, they think that there was an abscess in his brain that was dormant his whole life. And then when he got meningitis, which of course swells the tissues around the brain, or it's an infection of the meninges, right, around your brain. Anyway, it caused the abscess to start to grow. So it grew. They went in and did surgery. This was 1976 when they didn't even have like MRIs and stuff like that. Or anyway, it did surgery. They told my mom that the longer the surgery took, the better, and they were out within an hour. They couldn't get it out. It continued to grow. He went to coma. He died. So from the time that he woke up with a headache to the time that he passed away was less than 2 weeks. My mom was 32 with 2 small children, and yeah, when we lost him, of course that has colored my life. You know, I remember talking to somebody years later. I was directing a show, and there was a girl there who had lost her mom a couple years previously to, I think, breast cancer. And we were talking in the green room one night, you know, because I said that I had lost my dad, and she's like, when does it stop hurting? When do you stop? And I'm like, it never stops. You just get used to it, and it's just not as immediate. But there's always going to be that little bit of sadness in there that you've lost that important person in your life. So anyway, Father's Day has never really been even on my radar because I never, you know, had a dad growing up. And now, you know, I think about my brother, and yeah, and that's it. So I don't really like celebrate Father's Day. Of course, I think about my dad. You guys know I have a couple pieces that I'm working on him that are kind of dedicated to him, and I've told stories about why they make me think of him, and you know, so he just is, I hope, watching over me and happy with how things are for me. So anyway, that's my dad. His name was Ronald. So happy Father's Day to my daddy in heaven. Happy Father's Day to my brother in Michigan, and happy Father's Day to all of you and the men in your life who are significant. I don't know if there's a lot of men watching my channel. I know there's a couple. So if you're watching, happy Father's Day. Okay, so our Southern California weather, it is starting to get hot here in Southern California. It's been in the 80s, and it's definitely hot enough that I've started using my little wall air conditioning in my apartment at night. I've been able to like kind of turn on, turn it off, turn on, turn it off kind of thing. Last night I was hot when I went to sleep, and I'm like, forget it, I'm just turning on the air conditioning, and I slept so nicely. I really love in the summer that feeling of the cool air. Like, it's cool enough that I actually need a light blanket, but my face and everything is just got the chill from the air conditioning. I love that feeling. I try not to keep the air conditioning on too much because, you know, expense, but yeah, but it's been going on this week. We have a Zoom today at 3 o'clock. Hopefully this video will go up early. I am actually filming earlier than usual, or on time, I should say. It's not really earlier than usual. So if it goes up quickly and you guys get a chance to see it as a reminder, then that'd be great. So we're going to be Zooming at 3 o'clock Pacific time today. And then again on the 26th, which is a Wednesday, at 6. But today it's at 3 for at least a couple hours. And so hopefully I'll see a bunch of you there. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I don't have a lot of stuff to talk about as far as like the week. Not much changes. Have any of you guys know, I mean, I've heard it said that this year is really bad for like allergies and stuff, and I've been feeling like I'm getting sick all week, but I don't think that I'm actually getting sick. I think it's just allergies. I've had like this scratchy, I don't even want to say sore throat because it's not all the way into being a sore throat. It's just a scratchy, sort of irritated throat all week, and my nose is running a lot. I'm having to blow my nose a lot. I've been sneezing. I think it's just allergies, and you know, I keep checking, like, am I getting a temperature? I checked. I wasn't feeling well last Sunday night, and I took like a COVID test like 3 times because I'm like, I don't want, if I'm sick, I don't want to go to work and infect anybody, but I didn't have a fever. A COVID test was negative, so I'm like, okay, I think it's just allergies. But you know, it drags you down when you feel like you're getting sick all week. So I don't know, has anybody else noticed that? I think the pollen count must be really bad here as we go into summer. So yeah, I guess that's it for the preamble. Not that much. So those of you that don't like all that personal stuff anyway, good for you. And we will go into our webs. I do have a couple crochet things to show you. I worked on my temperature blanket. I wanted to get it done, or get the May square done yesterday, but my hand was starting to hurt a little bit, so I may have to do a little bit more today. I think I'm on day 20. Day 23 is completed, so I'm working on day 24. So I only have what, 8 more rows to do on this. As I said, May is not exciting. May is all going to be just the 2 blues. And in fact, let's see, this light color, I think I just started the 2nd row of it. There's 3 rows of the light, and then the rest is the dark again. So, not exciting, but still actually really pretty. So I don't mind that I have a not exciting square in there. But next month for June, because we're starting to go into hot weather, there's going to be colors that haven't come out yet. So that should be pretty interesting. I also did some mental gymnastics and some mental calculations, and I figured out what I need to do for next year as far as the dimensions of my blocks. They're not going to be squares. That's what I had to like wrap my head around. They're going to be more long and skinny, and I'm going to put 4. So I'm, instead of like with this blanket, I'm doing 4 rows of 3 blocks. For the next blanket, I'm going to do 3 rows of 4 blocks because they're going to be longer than they are wide. The pattern for the strawberries, you have to do it in multiples of 4. So I think I'm going to do 40 stitches across, and then of course there's going to be 32 or 31, 31 rows of strawberries, 31 rows of strawberries, and then, or fill in, depending on the month. So yeah, so I did figure it out. I had mentioned last week, I was like concerned, like, oh, am I going to be able to do that because it's going to be so huge? And I thought I would end up having to do kind of a row blanket, which I don't want to do. Part of the thing that I really like about this temperature blanket is that I'm doing it by like monthly blocks. And so each month is just this square that then I can crochet them together, but I'm not having to pull out this big blanket to work on, which I think, especially like in the summer months, I wouldn't like. But doing the one block, it feels like it goes fast. You're doing the same amount of stitching, but it doesn't feel overwhelming. And I was afraid with the idea of doing the strawberry patch that I wouldn't be able to do it, but I figured it out. I did measurements, and I figured out how many stitches across I need to do and how I'm going to do it, and I think it's going to work just fine. So I'm still very excited about that as we get towards the end of the year. Maybe if I get birthday money from a couple different sources, then I will use that to source out my my yarn and find a good deal. When I got the yarn for this blanket, Joann's was having a great sale, and I got the first round of yarn all for like $40 or something, because the skeins were on sale so much. So I have to kind of keep an eye out for that, because I certainly don't want to pay full price when I know that things will eventually go on sale. So I also had a crochet finish this week, not surprising because I showed you last week. So I finished my little crochet basket that I did with, this is the Lion Brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick. But this this is a basket. Whew, I mean, it was easy to do, and I love how it turned out. It killed my hand. I seriously have been having some hand pain all week. And I think that this basket is to blame. Now, I was following a pattern and sort of a online tutorial from Tony at TL Yarn Crafts to make this. And I don't know if my stitches were tighter, if I did something slightly wrong. She used two balls of yarn, and her basket was at least 2 rows higher, and she didn't seem like she was running out. I used 2, and I got to where like I have to finish this because I'm gonna run out of yarn, and I ended up with just a little bit left. So it's not as tall of a basket, but I really like it. The pattern in here uses a, what should you call it? A waistcoat stitch. Yeah. So that's what like this little pattern of vertical, I don't know if you can see it really well with the variegation, but again, this was using a super bulky yarn, 2 strands of it held together. But I feel like it's, you know, it's nice and sturdy. Don't know what I'm gonna use it for yet, but I love crochet baskets. I didn't know I loved crochet baskets until I started crocheting and realized that I really enjoy doing them, and I just think they're really cute. So there was a finish on that. And my haul today has to do with crochet, but we'll show you that when we get there. Okay, and then let's go into our whips this week. So, where do I want to start? Okay. I worked on Solar System. I didn't get like a ton done on anything. I just kind of touched stuff this week. But, you know, that's fine. So, let me show you the full picture. This is a mini full coverage Solar System. This is charted by Artisy. Artwork is Adrian Chesterman. And every time I pull this out, I just think it's really going to be gorgeous when it's done. I mean, I only did a tiny bit, but you know, I am not a quick stitcher by any means, but that's okay, you know. I'm not in a big rush either, so. Okay, I worked on Lemonade by Emma Congdon. The only thing about this, working on this, is I don't like working from the book. And I don't have like a color printer at work. I mean, any copies I make at work, and I don't have a color copier there. And I also don't think it would copy great, so I'm stitching from the book, which means I'm ending up like messing up the book. Oops, I'm showing you the pattern. Sorry. So this is When Life Gives You Lemons, Make Lemonade. Typical Stitch Rovia type pattern, just in the color blocking and the way she does the, you know, like splitting the letters, the words into multiple colors to add dimension. So I finished the lemon and I started on the Gives You. And I'm doing this because you guys know I don't stitch very much on white, although I do have an exception to the rule in here. This is on a very weird piece of fabric in that I quote dyed it myself, but I didn't dye it, I bleached it. So this is like a Christmas red piece of Aida. You know, just one of those Charles Craft, you know. I don't know how old they are, but they're old. You can get them on eBay, and I got some on eBay years ago now. And kind of felt like I'm never going to stitch on red, on that color red, that plain red Aida. I'm never going to stitch on. What can I do with it? So I tried like bleach dyeing it. I never know if I should call it dyeing. Anyway, I bleached it, and it came out that sort of corally, lightly mottled color. I worked on Orange Mood, which is a Riola's kit, but it's actually black work, mostly black work. And I really didn't do much on this. I kind of did this as a second project one night after I had put away the first project. And I don't even know if you can see, I worked on these stitches down here, which are single ply, so I feel like they're harder to see. They make more of a background. And this surprisingly, I don't have any problem stitching on a 14 count black Aida. I don't think I could stitch on black other stuff, but the 14 count black Aida is not a challenge, so that's good. I worked on my hummingbird from my friend Tracy. Can't really show you a picture because it's sort of a amalgamation of a couple different charts from my bird book. But I did more flower, and then this is actually the male hummingbird's beak. I was trying to figure out, I really wanted to stitch on him, but after I put in his beak, I was like, you know, I really should finish the flowers to get placement right, to make sure that he looks good, you know, in the place that I put him. So yeah, so I went back, I put in his beak because I figured, well, I can pull that out if it doesn't look like he's gonna be in the right place. And I went back and worked on flowers and the leaves. Okay, so Sharky Stitcher, come on. Sharky Stitcher put out a video this week showing chatelaines, which got me in a chatelaine like place, right? So I pulled out, I have a bag of all of my sort of kitted chatelaines. I have like 4 or 5 chatelaine projects to start. They're all smaller. I don't have any of the big charts, and I don't know that I ever will. Because they're huge, and mentally for me, I mean, if a small chart's going to take me 3 or 4 years, then, you know, that's enough. Like, I don't want necessarily to start something that I know is going to take me 10 or 15 years. On top of that, I don't have the funds, because the big charts really could be $200 to $500 to kit up, and I just don't have that. But what I did do is I kitted up several of the smaller or mid-sized ones, and those were much more reasonable to kit up, you know, and so that's what I have. So when I got all into thinking about doing chatelaine, because I was watching her video, I went and I pulled that out with the idea that, ooh, I could start, and then I'm like, no, you're not going to start another chatelaine until you finish Green Lace Mandala, which you love anyway, so just finish the one that you have started that you really like, and then you can move on and do another one. So that's what I did. I pulled out my Green Lace Mandala and worked on that like a good person instead of starting something new. Now, I did have the plan that I would go and finish, you know, this blue bordery part and then go back and do the corners. But I'm like, you know, that's slowing me down because I don't want to do that, right? I'm getting tired of going around this border thing. So I went ahead and I started one of the corners. And this is actually sideways. It should be like held like that, but aside from the stitches going the wrong way, which I don't think you can tell, that, you know, it's a mandala that looks the same. So yep, so I started the corner design. I'm aching to do the beads on this, but I just kind of want to wait until I get the stitching done, and then I'll do the beading. But yeah, it got me in a shadowing place where I was, you know, looking on the sites again, not really with any intention of buying. I was just really just looking again. It's funny because every time you go on the shadowing site, it's like, it seems like you see things that you didn't know were there before. So I have, after I finish Green List Mandala, I have, I actually have the patterns for all 4 of the workshops, but the 2 that I've kitted up because I really like them are the Jessica stitches and the eyelet stitches. I do have the patterns. I've purchased a pattern because I got the bundle to do the Rhodes stitches and the rice stitches. Those 2, the Jessica and the eyelet, I actually bought a PDF. I bought them on the secondary market. Not PDF. I bought the paper charts before I knew that I really needed the PDF. So I bought those paper charts thinking like, well, I'll just stitch them off the paper charts. Then when I started Green Lace Mandala and realized I really do need the PDF for shadow lanes, I went ahead and I got the bundle of all 4. So I can, in the future, if I want to do the rice stitches and the red stitches, I have those patterns, but I don't really have an intention of stitching those right now. Then I have the Spider Lace Mandala, which is the Halloween one that isn't the one that everybody does. The one that everybody does is the cat eye one. But then there's another one called Spider Lace, which has 4 big black cats on it, but it doesn't have those eyes all the way around, which I don't really like those eyes. So yeah. And then I have, there's 4 filigree charts. There's winter, spring, summer, fall. I don't really like the fall and winter ones, but I liked the spring and summer, so I have those as well. Okay. This is Florentina. This is still in that stage where it doesn't look like anything other than chunk of color, but and it may be in that stage for a while, considering I'm kind of going down and not up, but eventually you'll see more of the bench showing. Now I did add, so the cherries in her dress are done with 2 variegated silks, and it's 2 colors because it's like where her dress folds, it's like darker and lighter. So in the darker shadowed areas, it's a darker silk, and in the lighter areas, it's lighter silk. But there was no Krynic in this chart. Well, there was Krynic, the stems are Krynic. There's like a gold and a bronze. But there was no Krynic in the cherries, and to me, there needed to be. So I'm adding some sparkly floss to those cherries in the dress. Which is funny. I know some people are like thrilled when there's no Krynic because they don't like working with it, and it's like I don't love necessarily working with it, but I love the way it looks, so I just decided to add some. And last but not least, I worked on this yesterday. This is my Active Long Dog sampler, which is Pavane for these times. And I'm doing this on a 20 count white, sparkly, white opal Aida with sulky. So I'm using a variegated for my main color. And then I have an accent color of the light blue. So I'm going to use the accent color for all, there's like butterflies all over this and little birds and stuff. And then I'm going to use it, and then I have it in the border. I think that there's a vase here in the middle that I'm going to use the lighter color, the accent color for that vase. But I actually worked on this a lot yesterday. This, I got a bunch of this wasn't done, so I got that finished. And then on this, the only thing that was done was this flower and like half of that flower. So I got the whole flower, the whole so I did like 2.5 flowers on there and brought the stem down to the base of the vase. So yeah, I actually did quite a bit on this. Doesn't look like it because it's small, but you know, this is 20 count, so there's a lot of stitches. A lot of stitches in there. And actually, it's funny because like when I do my full coverage, you know, people talk about getting a page finish, and I could never really talk about getting a page finish because I do it on the diagonal. So I like have 5 pages going, 5 or 6 pages going before I get that first corner page done. But the way that this is set up, this is almost a page. So in fact, the page ends right about there. And yeah, so I've almost finished the first page of this. So I guess that's kind of exciting. But I was really enjoying stitching on this yesterday. And you know, this was on my inactive list for a while, basically because I was doing Sample Rochelle, which is, you know, was kind of the same, you know, it was 20 count with sulky, with variegated sulky and stuff. So I put that aside because I didn't really want to work on both of them. Now that one I finished last year, I pulled this out and I worked on it a couple times, but I was really enjoying it yesterday. So that's all of my whips, all of my stitching. Plans for next week, basically more of the same. You know, I have my wheel of the smaller group of my big group of whips, you know, that I'm doing in June, and so I will continue. And then I have to decide what I'm going to work on today on the Zoom, which of my 2 counted canvas, or if I'm going to crochet. I think I want to finish the backgrounds on the cats and dogs that I had started, so that might be what I'm going to do today. And then I have D&D this week with my brother on Tuesday, so that'll be fun. And that's about it, except for I have a little bit of haul to show you. I didn't even take it out because it just arrived this morning. So I have, I get all of my groceries pretty much on Amazon because I want them delivered. And I have like a dedicated card that I use, you know, for my groceries, and then I pay that. So it's one of the ones where you get, you know, credit and you get points. So I get Amazon like points or whatever. So sometimes I use those points for practical things, and sometimes I save them up a little bit and get something, you know, more indulgent. And that's what I did this time. I have been crocheting a lot, you know, as you guys know. And when I started crocheting, I just got cheap crochet hooks off of Amazon. I got the cheap aluminum ones that I guess are kind of like Susan Bates, but they're not even Susan Bates. They're like more generic than that, and they work just fine. But because I started watching some crochet type channels, you know, I've gotten more interested in like trying other sort of hooks, and you know, but I don't want to spend a lot of money and yada yada. And I've also been having some arthritis-y kind of problems, so I'm always on a quest to see if I can find stuff that'll work better. So I went ahead and I got the Prim, because you can get these on Amazon and they are not that expensive. I got the Prim Ergonomics. Now these are plastic hooks, and so I watched a ton actually of YouTube yesterday of people reviewing crochet hooks and like which do they like better, and I come to the conclusion that it's really a lot of just personal preference, because you got one person who's like, Susan Bates, just the regular aluminum ones, they're my go-to, they're the smoothest, and then other people that are like, you know, I know everybody likes these, but these are my least favorite. And then there's like with these ergonomic ones, people are like, I hate plastic, but these actually are the exception to the rule, that I like these. And some people are like, I don't like them. And some people are like, the handles are fantastic for my issues. And some are like, they're not. So I don't know, you know. So I decided to go ahead and get them. It's, you know, the set is only 5. It's, I think 3.5. They don't have the millimeters on them. They're done by the numbers, but I think it's 3.5 to 6. They're very light. I know people have mentioned that, very light. And they mentioned that just this handle is just a little bit more comfortable to use. So for those of you that don't crochet, there's like 2 basic like grips that people do, and it makes a difference, like the crochet hook that's going to feel more comfortable. So I do a knife hook, which is like when you hold your needle, your hook like a knife, like this, right, with your hand is over it and you go into the thing like that. There's other people who hold it like a pencil, so they're holding it underneath the hook. So I tried yesterday to hold it like a pencil for a couple stitches, and what I found is when I hold it like a knife, this hand is doing most of the work, and this hand is just like holding the yarn in place and feeding it. When I have to do it like this hand has to like move the yarn, because I can't get the yarn. I don't know if that makes any sense. If you're a crocheter, let me know if that makes sense to you. But yeah, I can't do the pencil one. So anyway, I got those. So these are a pretty well-known brand. I think they're from Australia. No, made in Germany. Anyway, so I got that set. And these could be complete crap. These are supposed to be ergonomic as well. And these were totally not expensive. So, you know, I think sometimes you get what you pay for, and sometimes, you know, when it's craft stuff, sometimes getting the name brand can mean that you're just paying a lot for no reason. So these have a handle that is supposed to be helpful for the hand. They're kind of flat, so and they have these little bumps and things. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I do notice, because different crochet hooks are different lengths, and it can make a difference on where it sits on your hand, like if it pokes you or rubs you or whatever. So that makes a difference. Where the thumb rests can make a difference, because, you know, is it giving you the right amount of length between your hook and your hand? And, you know, everybody crochets slightly differently and needs something different. So anyway, I got these 2 sets of hooks to try out, to see if they help or hinder or whatever. These are nice as far as like, they have the markings really nice and easy to read, which is good. I like the hooks that are different colors. So So that's what I got with my Amazon like credit. It came with a little pouchy, which I don't need because I have my little case, but you know, cross stitchers, we can always use little pouches, right? So that was it. That was my haul for this week. Crochet hooks, fancier crochet hooks. So I'm kind of excited to try these out and see, and I hope they're not horrible. You know, and the regular aluminum ones, I was watching a British crocheter yesterday and she kept saying aluminium, which was delightful. I like it. It sounds so much nicer, but you know, I can't say it. I would be pretentious if I said aluminium. But anyway, so the aluminum ones are like, got a really nice glide. So they work really well, but you know, just the regular skinny crochet hooks hurt if I hold them for too long. So I've used all these, you know, I've shown you different like things like this to try and make them more comfortable. But I used this, actually, did I use actually I didn't use that for the basket. I was gonna say that hurt my hand after a while. But yeah, you know, I think it's probably the best thing is to change up, you know, so that your hand is not cramping in one space. But these are the Prim Ergonomics, which I don't think are the same. There's also a set called Prim for wool, and so I've seen both of them like reviewed, and I don't know. And again, it's varied. It's like you got people who really like these, like really like them, and people who are like, ooh, I like the handle, but I don't like the head because it's plastic. You know, and plastic tends to drag more on your floss or your yarn. I don't know. If you're a crocheter, let me know what you really like. You know, I don't want to get the ones where it's like $40 for one hook. I can't do that. Mentally, even if I had unlimited funds, I don't know if I could do that. But anyway, that is it. I'm starting to ramble, so I hope that this uploads quickly and you guys can see it and maybe be reminded of the Zoom today, or maybe you have it on your calendar. So hopefully I'll see you guys, some of you, at 3 o'clock. And until I see you again next week, please remember to be content, be kind, and be crafty. This is Karla. Bye-bye.